Good afternoon, everyone. So, before we begin our presentation about the physical and economic development of tourism, first we are going to play a game called Jumbled Letters. So, in this game, um, you will be able to familiarize to the word that we are going to use, or you will be encountered throughout our presentation. So, get one half sheet of paper where you can write your answers. Are you guys ready? Let's start the game. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And the last one. Number 10. Okay. These are the answers. Kindly check your answers if it is correct. So again, good afternoon, everyone. Our topic is the physical and economic development of tourism. Here's our group member. We are the group 1. Okay. The term development has been used to refer to both state or stage of change in a process describing a process and the state of change. The nature of the process has been subject to a variety of interpretation, including inter alia that it is either a state or a process of development. Development as a process of economic growth as defined in increased commodity output, creation of wealth, and a raising of level of development. Development as a process of socio-economic transportation in which economic growth triggers wider processes of change that alter relationship between locations, particularly between developed and underdeveloped places, and between socioeconomic groups, thereby creating fundamental shifts in patterns of production and consumption. Development as a process of spatial reorganization of people and areas of production. Tourism development processes are also highly significant within states that would already be described as developed. So to sum up the slide 3 to 5, tourism is vital for the success of many economies around the world. There are several benefits of tourism on host destinations. Tourism boosts the revenue of the economy, creates thousands of jobs, develops the infrastructure of a country, and plants a sense of cultural exchange between foreigners and citizens. Physical development of tourism. Today, tourism on gross income is the second largest in the world after oil and the largest in the world to provide jobs. Well, tourism has an impact to the specific country with their gross income. As what I've said, the tourism creates job and opportunity to everyone. The main causes of the rapid development of tourism in the second half of the century and in the current period. Political. On the main part of the world attended the peaceful relation and the world a necessary condition, the development of tourism. In political, well, it makes a relationship to one country to another just like the globalization. Economic, income growth in developed country allows them to spend money on travel. Similar process are taking place in developing countries. Um, in economic, it improves tax revenues and personal income, increased standard of living, and more employment opportunities. Social, increased psychological stress on working with the intensification of the labor process as well as to all people because of urbanization and technological process. It associated between the interaction between people with different differing cultural background, attitudes and behaviors and relationship to material goods. Dissemination of culture and education. Raising the cultural level is always generates interest and increases the knowledge of their region and country, as well as other nations and civilization. It talks about how the culture was being studied by the countries. Developing media. Due to its characteristic of tourism development is highly dependent on the capacity of tourist information about places of recreation and travel. The development of the print media, radio, television, computer has dramatically expanded offer in tourism. Media are playing an important role in the growth of development and promotion by creating a better awareness and understanding to cater the needs and requirements of domestic and international tourists as one knows as one knows is every traveler is potential tourist. It depends upon the campaign of professionals using media to promote and advertise the tourism.
Now let's talk about the 5 groups of factors that influence the formation of tourist needs and hence on the success of the tourist center and tourist business. The first one is the natural resources. Nakapaloob dito na ang mga likas na yaman na magagamit ng mga turista gaya ng destinasyon ng lokasyon, klima ng isang lugar, lalo na kung ito ay malapit sa tubig. Number 2 is the socio-economic factor. Ito naman ay tumutukoy sa wika, ekonomiya at kultural na antas ng isang bansa. Number 3 is the material base of tourism industry. Ito naman yung mga main building, kagaya ng hotels, catering, leisure, sports, and the spa facilities. Number 4 is the infrastructure destination. Para matugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng industriya ng turismo gaya ng kalsada, mga ilaw, hardin. The last one is the tourist offer. Sabi na hospitality daw ang may malaking kahalagahan pagdating sa mga turista. Ito ay malaking ambag para sa tagumpay ng isang turismo. Now let's talk about the several key elements that develop the tourism in any given location. Number 1 is the resources and attraction. Iba't nakasalalay sa ganda at atraksyon ng isang lugar kung gaano ito tatangkilikin ng mga turista tulad na lamang ng klima ng isang lugar, ganda at turismo na mayroon ito. Examples might include tourist shops, places of entertainment and amusement theme parks, swimming pools, and leisure complexes. 2 is infrastructure. Ang pagpapaunlad ng turismo ay nangangailangan ng infrastruktura, kabilang narito ang pagbibigay ng komportableng matitirahan ng mga turista, transportasyon sa lugar at mga pampublikong kagamitan. Of course, we also have investment, labors, and promotion. Ito ay para umunlad ang turismo ng isang lugar.
Factors affecting patterns of tourism development. The characteristics of those resources and tourist destinations will also be reflected in development, which will affect how dispersed or concentrated tourism is, unique or location-specific attraction, whether they be created by nature or by humans, and to concentrate growth around the site or location. As opposed to resources that are more pervasive or have a wider geographic scope, such as an accessible shoreline or high-quality rural landscape. There will therefore be a third key factor influencing the types of development, local planning, and investment conditions. Political perception of tourism and the extent of political control. Ito po ay mga natatangi o partikular na lokasyon or atraksyon, nilikha man sila na kalikasan o ng tao, ay may posibilidad na tumututok sa paglago sa paligid ng lokasyon, kumpara sa mga pagkukunang mas malawak o may mas malawak na geograpikong saklaw. Investment is the purchase of goods that are not consumed today but are used in the future to create wealth. Resort. The resort is the type of tourism development that is most well-known. Numerous occasions can include resort. The beachfront hotel is the most prevalent, but resort could possibly emerge around inland hotspots like Harrogate, England, mountain retreats, and even in remote areas of countries, like the Grande Plan and Palms, such as Las Vegas, Nevada, and Palm Springs, California. Quezon, perhaps the most significant factor influencing changes is nature of the materials that serve as the foundation for a meal. So, a focus style in development tends to occur was focused on important resources, but comprehensive. Ang resort po ay isang uri ng pag-unlad ng turismo na pinakakilala marahil ang pinakamalagang salik na nakaka-impluwensya sa mga pagbabago ay likas na katangian ng mga materyales na nagsasilbing pundasyon para sa kanilang papela. Kaya isang nakatutok na estilo ng pag-ulan ay may kagaliang ang okor ay nakatuon sa mahalagang pagkukunan ngunit sa isang komprehensibo.
Unique factors responsible for the growth of international tourism. Socioeconomic. When we say socioeconomic, these are the factors that interact with the social economics, like for example, income, mobility, age, education, together with leisure. These are responsible for determining the growth of international tourism because the higher the income, the fastest to have an advancement into international tourism. Motivation. Without people's motivation to travel, there would be no tourist industry. First, we have the physical motivators. The example of this is the rest, sporting activities, and specific medical treatments. Next, we have the interpersonal motivators. It is about the mind and socializing skills of people at this sport. They can build relationships, friends, and they can also adopt cultures of the other countries. Number 1, leisure means free time. So when there's a lot of things to do like recreational activities, it means leisure. Number 2, the youths in this generation, majorly those who doesn't have their own family already and don't have a responsibilities, they are much prominent to travel, unlike those people who are already been ties or married. They have restrictions to travel because of the expenses. Relaxation, rest, and recreation. When we say relaxation, you can have a peaceful mind. You can achieve a peaceful environment away from stress and problems. Recreational activities also helps to enjoy and have fun while learning something new. Next, we have the health. There's a lot of people travel just because of their health concerns because once a country doesn't have the capabilities to function, operate, or anything that is related to health, majorly they go to another country to have a better and get chance of being treated. Participation in sports. At this point, people only travel because of their intention of being in some way involved with a sporting activity or event. Next, we have the curiosity and culture. When you say curiosity and culture, it is the way for a person to discover different places while also learning other cultures and beliefs. Ethnic family. They produce buildings of ties within people which are considered travel by wanting people to visit friends and relatives. Next, we have the spiritual and religious. They refers to travel purposes such as undertaking a pilgrimage and visiting sacred sites. The main motivation for travel is to meet the spiritual and needs of people. Status and prestige. Among them is drive to continue learning, personal development, and sensual indulgence. Next, we have the professional or business. At this part, they only travel for a work, meetings, agendas, or team buildings which is organized by an organizer or institutional include business.
Tourist Income Multiplier and Value Added. The Tourist Income Multiplier or TIM is a coefficient that expresses the amount of income generated by a unit of tourism expenditure. To make it short, it is a spent by a tourist circulates through a country's economy. Money spent in a hotel helps to create jobs directly in the hotel, but it also creates jobs indirectly elsewhere in the economy. Income Distribution Effects or IDE. The IDE offers one of the strongest socioeconomic arguments in favor of tourism development. It describes how income generated by the sector is distributed. The term income distribution is a statistical concept. No one person is distributing income. Rather, the income distribution arises from the people's decision about work, saving, and investment as they interact through market and are affected by the tax system. Tourism and balance of payments. Tourism can make important contribution to a country's balance of payments. The balance of payments obtained of tourism sector is known as the invisible balance of payments. This is because tourism is an invisible service. This means that the exports of goods and services are put against export and imports from foreign tourism to come up with the balance of payments. The ratio between the prices that a country receives for its export and the prices it pays for its imports have traditionally been unfavorable because of fluctuations in the prices of raw material exports, but in the case of international tourism, if the index of average international tourist expenditure is taken as the impression of the price of the internal product, the prices received have enjoyed greater stability than the prices of raw material. In fact, prices have tended to increase in a stable manner because among other reasons of the demand for holidays, the growth of business travel, and the rigidity of destination supply in the short medium term, whereas the prices of other products are affected by speculative or strategic offers. This is generally not the case with tourism. It is therefore a sector that tends to improve the terms of trade of an economy in the medium as well as the short term.
Recent trends. Pag sinabing trends, ito ay yung pagbabago inconsistent ng paggalaw ng community o establishment o isang society. Na it terms tourism, hindi lang nakafocus sa isang bagay ang recent trends. Doon lang mabibili ang products mo, doon mas makikilala ang products, doon mas pipili ng tao bago at maganda, mas better na product. Accommodation. Pag sinabing accommodation, establishment, nagbibigay ng rooms, ng services, pwede din mong matulugan, napapasok ng tao in vicinity para magkaroon na sila ng ability to give services katulad ng rooms, alak, where in case mag-travel ang tao. Global culture and tourism geography. When we say income elasticity, ito ay demand o pinakakulangan, pinaka-income ng elasticity kung saan dito kailangan ng isang bansa to function dahil dito nagpo-produce, dito kumukuha ng mga nangangailangan ng data. Pag sinabing demand, ito ay mga kailangan ng consumer sa tourism nga ay lagmak ito ang pinakamataas na sahod, pinakamahal, transportation charges, aviation, dito napupunta o pagpunta o paglibot-libot, travel abroad,
transport charges sa mga destinasyon sa mga nagagastos, pagpunta at pagkadating doon. Supply factors. Dahil nga ng supply-demand, andun din ang supply factors, mga services na mga binibigay kung ang demand ay tao o nag-a-avail. Ang supply naman ay isa sa mga binibigay na services ng isang country dito sa supply factors. Dito ay nagbibigay ng unique, nagbibigay ng opportunity, mas ikaw ang unahin o bibisitahin ng isang lugar, doon lang magkakaroon ng unique.
The physical development of tourism is of course linked with a range of environmental and social impacts, but the closest ties are arguably economic. The character tourism may aid economic development through the generation of foreign exchange earnings. Less positively, however, tourism economic effect may also increase independence upon foreign investors and companies. Economic impacts are complex and notoriously difficult to isolate and measure, but we may be confident that there are significant spatial variation in effect according to the geographic scale of development. The initial volume of tourist expenditure, which will be primarily shaped by the number of visitors and their market segments, for example, effect differ between low-cost and luxury travel mass tourist independent traveler. The size and maturity of the economy, which will affect particularly the ability to supply tourist requirements from within the economy rather than relying upon imports the foreign source of investment. The level of linkage from the economy, linkage present the proportion of revenue which is lost to, for example, need to import goods and services to sustain the tourism enterprise of through the payment of profits, dividend to shore, owner of investor in general largest and more. Development and economy, the lower levels of linkage and vice versa.
The physical and economic development of tourism. So this is our presentation outline. First, we have the letter A, positive impact of tourism upon economic development. B, advantages of tourism in economy. C, negative impacts of tourism upon economic development. Positive impact of tourism upon economic development. The example for the first bullet was when we go abroad and became a worker there, we pay for our taxes. It will produce a higher dollar. The second bullet refers to the opportunities we can get from tourism. Because of tourism, a lot of places are discovered by the other people in different countries. And because of this, they can have a great opportunity to produce higher income. The third bullet is about the gross domestic product. It is due to the flow of money in the Philippines, so the more work, the more employment rate, and the higher the chances of economic value of the Philippines. This slide is about the places that has been discovered even though it was far away from the city. And because of being discovered by the people, it can also have the opportunity to share its uniqueness. Next bullet was about the diversification, and because of this, the country can have its own uniqueness. Therefore, there are a lot of people will go to the particular places. The last part was about the GDP, or the gross domestic product. It increased in the economic value because of increasing value of dollar in the Philippines.
Social advantage. Disadvantage of tourism is what has saved many local heritage sites from destruction. In addition to giving tourists a wonderful insight into the local ways of life, it can help to preserve the history of region that may be at risk of being lost due to damage or destruction. Environmental advantage. This help both to environment in dealing with the influx of tourists but also build a strong reputation of tourism operator. Opportunities. Opportunities, the key to remember is to be a sustainable tourist and act to support the cultural diversity of the place you are visiting. Never do anything that deters that environment and support the local community-owned establishment.
Negative impacts of tourism upon economic development. As shown in the table below, tourism development has a number of positive and negative impacts of the economy. The industry is subject to seasonal instability, which can lead to facilities being underutilized or even closed for periods of the year when demand is peak seasonally. Tourism demand patterns are highly responsive to a number of potentially destructive influences, including economic recession and generating countries. Next is changes in the price of holidays consequent upon fluctuation in internal monetary exchange rates or price wars within the travel industry. Next is changes in cost of transportation, reflecting particularly changes in oil prices and associated costs of aviation fuel. Next is short or medium-term economic and political stability in destination areas, which is the warfare and civil unrest. Next is negative images stemming from a range of potential problems at destination, including levels of crime, incidents of illness and epidemics, or even simple decline in fashionability.
Third world nation, in particular, tourism development may increase level of economic dependence upon foreign companies and investors. Ideally, foreign investment provides a catalyst to growth that will foster the subsequent formation of local enterprise. Yet, in many emerging nations, foreign ownership continues to dominate tourism industries, prompting extensive leakage of revenue and minimizing the local economic gain. Presumed capacities of tourism to generate regional development, redistribute wealth, and benefit local economies have been questioned. Tourism has been widely associated with localized inflation of the price of land, labor costs, and price of goods in the shop. Questions have been raised over the role of tourism in generating local employment. Tourism work has been widely characterized as low paid, menial and unskilled, part-time and seasonal, over-dependent upon female labor. Any evaluation of the economic potential of tourism development needs to take some account of negative externalities. These are wider costs that are attached to tourism development and which list not always quantifiable in precise economic terms, nevertheless have an economic dimension. So that will be all. Thank you. Thank you for listening.